The world has become tyrannical.
You want more of your people to die?
Deceptive. Dystopian. Fraudulent. Factual. Truthful. Direct knowledge. Has been taken away from the masses for the purposes of control. But enough is enough, dear friends.
For 4 years, Archaix has brought to the public attention a vast array of evidences and proofs that the events of world history are not random, that an underlying structure exists in the unfolding of events. History has been shown to be the result of an intricate programming that follows rules, programs, protocols, and patterning unknown to the masses but exploited by the few. Historical events not only have predictive value, but this immense collection of data in Archaix reveals that our world is not an actual one, but a perceived reality. The simulacrum operates on core fundamentals that all inside this experience agree to be true. And these remain axiomatic through all timelines, resets, and epochs. Dungeon programming protocols are set in place to keep souls in feedback loops of experience in the world of phenomena. Religion, politics, philosophy, culture, current events, all designed to keep souls from awakening to the idea they are inside a false reality. As populations begin to disbelieve the programming, the construct suffers a loss of power in maintaining feedback loops, and the collapse of paradigms, called dungeon programming, have individuals now experiencing coincidences, synchronicities, deja vu, and Mandela effect in increasing frequencies as more and more souls in the construct begin to disbelieve the programming. As souls wander away from deteriorating feedback loops of belief and behavior, the construct initiates more overt tactics of control by increasing the frequency and intensity of negative default programming, of anxiety, of fear-based programming, unusual weather, storms, fiery attacks, aerial phenomena, the release of pathogens, and paranoia, as it fears less and less to be believed than in losing total control of the minds inside its domain. This is the stage we have entered since 2020. We have been here many times before. Before every systemic reset period, there is a widespread disbelief that world events are natural, and the disbelieving populations come to terms with the truth. That the elite are not in control, that ancient aliens are not the cause of the debilitation, that religions have all failed in providing the answers to our existence, that the culprit is actually an ancient AI gone rogue. This is Archaix, Advanced Research of Chronological History of Artificial Intelligence X. These 11 predictions videos explain exactly where we are in the programming and what we can expect in 2025 and beyond, to 2024 and 2026, and what is required for souls to make their exodus from this simulated world. Hello, hello. Let me get that audio check real quick. You should be able to hear me pretty good. Turn off my device. I'm going to have to make sure that y'all are going to be able to see what I'm seeing. We have a lot to show you today. Jordan of WatersAbove is in studio right now. Audio is great. Excellent. Hope you like my intro. It will be an independent video on YouTube. I'll upload it later, maybe tomorrow. It's about 5 minutes long. Yeah, shout out to OG Santos. Know what I mean? His torch was burning pretty bright. That's why, he and his were attacked pretty hard. All right. So we got a lot to cover today. I have posted on X and in the community for YouTube. You can go see the community post, or you can just go to the description box right now. In the description box, you will see the in order of their appearance on YouTube, all 11 of my predictions videos on the breaking of the seals and what the first, second, and third seals mean. I haven't gone into a lot of detail on the third seal, but I did in one video. But remember, second seal, the corona was passed April 8th. We're going to be talking about that date. It comes up again. This is some really compelling stuff. And to give you a little background about how this video came about, I just recently did a 2025 predictions video. Most of you know that. Well, Jordan of WatersAbove has already informed his community to watch out for mid-March. Totally independent data. I don't know what data he's operating off of. Don't know anything about it. But I do know that I have run Office software, and I have shown the charts on Twitter in all these different data sets, completely separate dates, measuring separate phenomena, keep hitting at very significant magnitudes the date of March 14th. That caused me to look into the calendrics, and what I found is amazing. That caused me to look into predictive programming, and then everything fell into place. So we got a lot to go. We got a lot to cover here. No real major announcements. Not right now. But we have 1,500 people in the chat. It's a real good time to introduce our guests. You guys know we've done 5, 6, maybe even 7 collaborations in the past. You guys know Jordan of WatersAbove.
Hey, how's it going, brother?
Man, it's good. Man, you suck having that badass audio. It sounds so clear on my speakers.
Yeah, I told you before, people have been complaining lately about my audio, and I have no clue why. I think it might just be when I screen record and pulls up all this extra noise going on in the background. There's always construction and shit happening around me, so you know how it goes.
Yeah, well, I started my channel off. My first 80 or 90 videos, everybody could hear the pigs. You can hear a hog every once in a while, chickens, tractors, vehicles going down the old country road outside. Yeah, man.
I think it's very important for people to realize that my channel also started, probably the first 50, 60 videos were direct me speaking into my the microphone that's on my laptop. So it wasn't even with a microphone. It wasn't with through my headphones. It was just whatever the external mic connected to the MacBook was. And it was like on a MacBook that was from 2015 or something. So I started my channel too with like super low cost gear, no microphone. And I hope more people realize that you don't need top equipment to get going. It's probably best you don't. That was what we talked about the last time we connected, right? Like, best guitar player in the world.
It was a tablet. That's all I used was a tablet.
Oh, really?
Yeah, my first maybe 400 and something videos was all tablet. A couple times on my phone, but it was almost always tablet. All processed using free Google video editors and all that. Yeah,
that's awesome. Yeah, you also do most of your work freehand, right? Like drawing it out.
Yeah, I draw all my charts, and yeah, you're right.
Yeah, that's really powerful stuff. I think more people can learn from that, especially now with more AI being used and all these softwares and programs. There's nothing that beats freehand writing out ideas and taking notes. And yeah, that definitely shows in your work that you have all that experience creating that way. I think we're going to lose that probably in the next couple of years, where it's going to be very rare to see people creating that way.
Yeah, well, I mean, AI art's taking over everything. It's
100%.
the Shutterstock 123rf.com, deviantart.com. These are really huge platforms where you can get all kinds of video clips, you can get pictures. The original artists are always putting their stuff up. 5 years ago it was amazing stuff, but people were actually doing the digital art. Now it's all AI. Every single one of them provides AI generators on your subscriptions. So a lot of my thumbnail art is now coming from some of these engines, because they've replaced the artist. You can't even find the artist no more. When you do, they're charging exorbitant prices because it's real art, not AI art. And I'm not gonna pay $25 for an image when all I want the image for is for a tiny thumbnail for one of my hundreds of videos. So
yeah,
well, the artists are getting pushed out. There's no doubt. I feel sorry for them, but that's what's happening.
I'm actually inspired by that. I'm a firm believer that the more chaos ensues, that things will get brighter and better for real artists and for real creators. I'm not doom and gloom about that at all, although I do see the domino effect unraveling at an alarming rate. Like a lot of people are losing jobs right now. The layoffs are unbelievable, and I think this is all by design. Perhaps we could talk about that more later.
Yeah, it's all by design. There's no doubt. There's a new economies are going to require a new infrastructure. There's no doubt.
100%. I think what's going on right now in LA is very telling of that, unfortunately.
Shit. I mean, they hit one of the richest neighborhoods then, and then the fire spread toward Hollywood.
Yeah. And I've gone through this a couple times in past live streams where I'm telling people that you need to realize when you say the term elite, you probably don't really know what you're talking about, because a Hollywood actor is not elite.
No, they're puppets.
Exactly. They have less power than you do.
Kind of makes you wonder if they have some inside information, because
I'm sure there was some people taking vacations 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, I mean, look, starting in 2020, all of a sudden, all these actors and actresses have been bailing out of Hollywood, been going to other states, setting up. Look at all of them that left California. Joe Rogan. Look at all of them. Elon Musk. All of them that have left California come to Texas. All the actors and actresses, Roseanne Barr's in Austin, Texas right now. All of them left Hollywood. They're leaving that whole area. Kind of makes you wonder if they knew that the writing was on the wall. We're about to get hit. So,
yeah. Was this kind of were you expecting any particular things to kick off as soon as the year started, such as these fires?
Well, no, I mean, I can real fast tell you what my 2025 predictions video is, but even that, you have to understand, with date sequence predictive analytics, you're only going to be able to see what you're actually looking at. If I didn't have a certain data set in front of me, I would have never been able to run predictions on it. So my main predictions for 2025 in that video have everything to do with what data was available to me at that time. Since then, in the fire, I've done some more stuff. I'm going to show you that in this video. But a major conflict between China and Taiwan. In the calendrics, it's real strong for 2025. Does that mean they're going to go to war? I don't know. Does that mean that there's going to be some Chinese aggression against Taiwan? Probably so. I don't know, but it's going to be big news for it to be so prominent in the calendrics. Big news with Jerusalem being attacked this year. That's real prominent in the calendrics as well. Egypt is also prominent as a participant in that. Egypt is also prominent with being maybe it's a counterattack, or maybe they're attacking Jerusalem in response. I don't know, but Egypt's prominent for being invaded this year as well. Now when you're looking at calendrics, it may not be military invasion. It may be political, to where their whole political structure is taken over by somebody else and is done peaceably through economics. I don't know, but they're real prominent in the field. India and Pakistan, but it's not clear. It's not really clear who they'll be fighting. It looks like they'll be fighting each other, but it could be a third element involved. Pakistan's in the middle, though. Whatever's going to happen, Pakistan's in the middle. It may be a bunch of Muslim violence in Pakistan and in India, and that would satisfy the calendars, because that would definitely be a third faction. Also, in my 2025 predictions video, I have a massive signatures for Western military operations in the Middle East. Something I'm talking our militaries like UK, France, Germany, United States going to the Middle East to do something. And get this, this is right before all the weird phenomena in LA. My video was before all the stuff happening in LA. I said, this is going to be a year that's noted for aerial phenomena that causes all kinds of stuff. Things in the sky that result in things happening on the ground. And I'm going to tell you now, I have so many video clips now on my X feed of all these weird things exploding in the sky over LA before the fire just rained down on whole areas. Yeah. It's just weird. So also, I have for 2025, I have quake in California, and for that to be in the calendrics means that the signatures are over ordinary. There's quakes in California every single year. That's not what I'm talking about. Yeah. I'm talking about a West Coast. It may not be California. It could be Washington State, Oregon, but it's a western state, a far western state. Which I'm going to tell you now, that translates to Hawaii as well. Even though there's Pacific there, Hawaii is the farthest west you can go in the United States. So, as far as the markets go, I went into a lot of detail on my 2025 predictions on the markets because I had so much information. I had more information on the markets than anything else because of all the signatures in the past 150 years that I was looking at. So, I'll just tell it to you real quick. This is all old news to my own listeners. It has nothing to do with the massive reveals that we'll be talking about today. But I have a market flash crash. Now, we've only had like 3 of them in the past. But a flash crash is like when there's almost no expectation. And then in one day, not only does the market crash real far, but by the end of the day, it almost comes back up. By the end of the day, it comes back up. But in the interim, when it crashed, there is a massive transposition of wealth.
Yes.
So I have a market flash crash around May. Looks like it starts in April. Looks like there's evidence for why it's going to happen in April. I have it's going to be widespread panic in the financial world though in May. I have an Asian exchange. I don't know beyond that exactly what that means. But an Asian exchange completely crashing out. I have worldwide attention focused on the US dollar, the Federal Reserve, the London and the New York Stock Exchange, and Social Security in the month of May, all at the exact same time. Major news that concerns all of them across the board. I have Bitcoin and cryptocurrency at the exact same time. It's hard to translate exactly what the calendrics mean. They either enjoy a massive surge in value as the other markets suddenly have this flash crash, or the cryptocurrencies do dip, but their recovery is almost instant. Mm-hmm. This is May. You have to understand, I have no education on cryptocurrencies, crypto markets, exchange. I know nothing about this. You know what I do in date sequence predictive analytics is I take the exact dates when things happen and I enter them into my software. So the software does all the magic and all the separating. Now in calendrics, I go by the years. That's not software. Yeah, and I show in exact detail in that video. I have whole PDFs that I showed my community on how calendrics works. I literally taught people how to do calendrics in that video. So for the markets, Jordan, for 2025, after May, things tend to just they're stable. They're stable. But I'm going to tell you now, this is what really shocked me because I had to run a separate string of dates just on the House of Rothschild because everything that came up with this massive blip on the May radar for the international, the world markets, cryptocurrencies, regular silver, gold, everything. Almost every bit of that is attached to the Rothschilds. I'm going to let you figure out why. But that's exactly, it's something they're doing or they're either instigating something, doing something themselves, or or everything they own is lost all in one fell swoop. I don't know. I don't know how to translate it. All I can do is give you the timing and basically what's happening. So
Yeah.
2025 in the calendars goes back 2,070 years to what's known in 46 BC. It's known as the year of confusion. The entire year was chaos in ancient Rome. That's why later historians call it the year of confusion. They also call it the year of confusion because the seasons had become so out of whack with the actual mechanical time that Caesar had added 81 days to the calendar just to line them back up. And the 81 days to the calendar stayed. It was a 441 day year, something like that, instead of 365.
Yeah.
But there was just so much going on. And you also know, I mean, Caesar ended up getting a whole bunch of daggers in him. They killed Caesar. But,
Right.
So this is the year of confusion. And in my notes, I didn't just say all these things, Jordan. In my video, I showed my community the calendrics and how all these things are ascertained. And what I have is a major calendrical signature shows that a worldwide event will transpire in or after April. You have to understand this is entirely separate data sets from the market research. I'm not saying that it isn't the markets that I'm talking about. I'm just saying it's a separate data set that produced that. So, this may or may not be connected to the market, but it's some worldwide event transpiring in or after April. An event in this year will actually be the starting point of a whole new calendar or a whole new system that most of the world is going to recognize ex post facto, meaning the system gets some type of new system that affects most of the world gets created in 2025, but it's not until 2026 or later in 2025 and 2027 that everybody's on board with it, and they go ahead and backdate their own whatever that system is, calendars to that date. So, and the last thing for 2025 that I have 3 separate major data sets that all end in 2025, and they connect all 4 presidents of the United States who were assassinated. That's McKinley. What's Garfield first? Abraham Lincoln, James Garfield. We had McKinley, and we had Kennedy. Now, I'm aware that 2 other presidents were killed too, but the history books don't call them assassinations. Yeah, one of them choked on his food at dinner, but that was a Jesuit assassin. Another one was poisoned as well, along with all his staff. So those were assassinations as well. But in the historical record that's been published that everybody agrees to, there's only been 4 presidents that have been assassinated, at least by pistols, guns, and stuff like that. And all 4 of them are a part of 3 mathematical patterns that are amazing, unbroken, and they all point to 2025 for presidential assassination. Does that mean Trump? No. It could be Vance. It could be whoever's in office. You got to understand, President Trump's not even in office until the 20th. So I don't know. This is what we have. This is what we have. This is what my video was about. But it has very, very little to do with the subject matter of this presentation concerning the month of March, because the month of March is epic. And I would like to present all this data to you and then get your opinion of what you think this could be.
Sure. There's also some things maybe to comment regarding what you just shared. Do you want to hold off on that, and then we could get to that a little bit later?
No, say this is the EOTT. Everything on the table, man. Whatever.
Great. I think the last time we connected, we were discussing the year of the snake, which we're clearly moving into very soon. And we talked about a little bit about the month of May, I believe, probably a little bit about the month of September, October. You put a lot of emphasis on the month of May. And I've been talking about this quite a bit for the past maybe 6 months, the time frame of post-March 2025. And when we go back to the year of the wood snake, which is the exact year we're in now, when we go back to the last one, which was in 1965, which is the year that the U.S. entered Vietnam War, that was also 2 years after the assassination of Kennedy. And then we had the year of the dragon in between, which we were just mimicking this year. And what's so fascinating about 1964 with the markets is we mimicked it literally exactly. So all of the pivot highs and pivot lows were identical. The time of our yearly high was in the same time in 64 as it was in 24. So this recent dip that we've got in the market was from same time to the same time in December. I don't want to get too deep into the markets right now, but I'm just letting people know that the fact that that particular Chinese year, which was in 1964, is mimicking what happened in 24, and the fact that Kamala Harris was born in 1964 in the year of the wood dragon, everything has been synchronized, and it's telling me that I would not be shocked if the events that happened in 65 are also somewhat mimicking what happens in 25. And guess what happens in 1965 with the markets? The biggest correction of the year was in the month, started in the month of May, and it lasted until about July. There wasn't a flash crash, but one other thing to note was even though the US went to war and there was kind of war in the air generally across the globe, the market was actually bullish. So it continued to go up. And then that comes back to what you said a little bit ago about how when this flash crash occurs, it would be bought back up. And you even brought up the crypto topic about how that could be instantly bought back up. It could rally or surge regardless of what occurs. And that this event would most likely be triggered on the geopolitical side. It's never that the market really is the problem. The things like us analysts can realize that are problematic in the market, we could tell you about probably 2 years in advance. It's just they wait and wait and wait for a ritual to blame. And then the collapse happens. And then the speed of it happening has everything to do with the particular market that we're talking about. And you could study these on your own if you wanted to with 2000, 2008, 87, 94 with the bond market. There's plenty of examples for you to type in. Yeah, these are all big years that were. And that was where me and you first connected. If you remember, we talked about the Shemitah year and how there was a very important Shemitah year that we moved through because it led to Jubilee. Biblical Jubilee, not the same as Catholic Jubilee, which is, they're different.
25 years, yeah.
So
biblical 50 years, right?
Precisely. So we went through that super cycle. We had our 50th year Jubilee between the year of 22 to 23. And then if you remember, right at the end of the Jubilee, we had October after Rosh Hashanah, the Hebrew New Year. We had the October 7th event. And if you look at the gold chart, the chart of gold was perfectly synchronized with all of what unfolded. So you bring up the Rothschilds, and then we have to talk about gold. So maybe we can kind of save some of these ideas for later, but I just wanted to respond to be in alignment with you on there's plenty for us to talk about: geopolitical, world stage, war, chaos, like all the things that are going on just for the next 3-4 months. And then I would love to know your thoughts on what else you have planned for today. We could go so many different directions with this, way beyond markets.
Yeah, it's crazy. So do you have, I know you're familiar with Purim. So
yes.
Do you have a specific idea in mind of what you're expecting on Purim? This isn't an ordinary Purim. It starts the night. It starts the night of March 13th, and Purim is the 14th because in the Jewish system, the night precedes the day. The beginning of the day is when the sun goes down. So Purim starts on our calendar March 13th, but I think it's the 14th or 15th of Adar, but it's in our calendar. It's March 14th. So do you have a specific idea of what's to be expected? Because this isn't an ordinary Purim.
Yeah.
We have not had a Purim. The Jews, I don't celebrate Purim, but the Jews have not had a Purim festival that lined up perfectly with a lunar eclipse since 2007.
Yeah, so total lunar eclipse too.
It's a total lunar eclipse. I'm not talking about blood moons. Those dumb. I'm so tired of the YouTubers coming out with these blood moon videos. Blood moons mean nothing. They're not even mentioned in the Bible. They have no significance whatsoever. It's just, I don't know. I just saw a video this morning. A dude lines up 7 different blood moons, and the video was from like 10 years ago, and not a damn thing he said was going to come to pass came to pass.
So yeah, specifically this upcoming, what I would call the exoteric Pi Day eclipse, because of the 314 and the alignment with Purim, is
Right.
absolutely important. What I would say this is symbolic of, if you just want to start there, and then we could get like kind of into the details. And this might be controversial, and perhaps people disagree with what I'm about to say, but I believe that this is symbolic of like the loss of Jewish influence, maybe the flipping of like the power dynamic. I can see this being kind of the end of that reign, but that is quite different from Zionism. These are different ideas. Judaism and Zionism are not one. They do share, the same kind of outfit in some cases, but that's just the costume. Where I'm really going with this is that the mind parasite of Zionism that has kind of corrupted our whole realm, and it's made everything great, parasitic, and awful. It's not necessarily what I'm speaking about right now with what I just said. Generally, Judaism, I believe, will start to lose its, and I think that decline has started to become noticeable as of all the events that have unfolded since October 7th, 2023. And all of what 2024 has kind of painted this perception of that nation of Israel as being a stain in like the world's, harmony. And that's not my opinion, by the way. That is what everyone feels. And that flip of the switch there is quite awkward for me, because I remember when I first started my channel, anytime I said anything about Zionism, people were calling me anti-Semitic, but they had no idea what they were calling me, because calling out Zionism has nothing to do with Jews. Mm-hmm. This is a thing that is a mind state. It's like a state of consciousness to operate this way and to create a system that treats people this way. So just to get that out of the way, I think it's very important for me to make that clear delineation.
We're in agreement. Two reasons. One, in my 2025 predictions video, I made one single statement under the year of confusion. I didn't even reiterate it here when I was telling you this stuff. I just picked out salient points. But in the calendar, it shows a loss of Jewish wealth significantly for.
Wow, seriously?
Yes, absolutely. Matter of fact, I'm gonna share my. I have a habit on my channel. I don't like to tell people.
That's pretty crazy. That's pretty crazy. Because me and you have been consistently like this since I've started talking with you. It's like I get these intuitive things. You're very much in the numbers. I seem to be very in the numbers, but a lot of what I do is mostly like intuitive decoding. You're way more mathematical and calculated, and you have like the graphs, and I'm much more intuitive. So it's pretty wild that me and you have connected over these years. And every year we have like one or maybe several at this point alignments in our philosophy and theories for the year ahead. And then it aligns that way. Because I wouldn't say this normally. Mm-hmm.
Can you see the screen?
Yeah, I'll read it real quick.
The very first sentence under year of confusion. This is from a couple weeks ago.
That's crazy. That's crazy. Where is this document?
No, it's real prominent in the calendrics. And I'm going to tell you now, don't think it's not symbolic that neighborhood in Los Angeles was the first to go, Palisades, because of who lives there. Also the Hollywood taking damage. Hollywood, listen, man, you're absolutely right, man. There's all throughout 2025, 2026, 2027. Yeah, the Jewish culture is going to be scapegoated by the Zionists. There's no doubt.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to say. That's wild, man. That's a wild connection. Yeah, like for me, I study Zionism quite a bit and Judaism, and I have to regarding the calendrics because of my work with markets. Like you're probably well aware by now that you need to study the Hebrew calendar if you want to understand markets, because if you research who's running the markets, it's pretty clear. Like you research who's been running the Federal Reserve since its inception, it's clear. If you realize who's the central banking cabal, it's clear. So you need to see that it's not on the typical solar calendar that most of us are hypnotized into believing is the most powerful. And it's not me trying to say that the Hebrew calendar is somehow the best. So please don't get me confused there. But for my job, for what I particularly focus on, it's powerful. So if you disregard it, you're going to have a tough time in markets. So I've noticed that all of my biggest, I guess I should say, my most furthest in advance calls that have come to fruition have come from me studying lunar and solar cycles, which is powerful with this upcoming March eclipse, which we'll get back to. And then the other thing was the Hebrew calendar. So once I figured out how to take what's going on with the Hebrew calendar and then the exoteric Gregorian calendar and synchronize those, because we can't deny that markets and money and finance and tax and all of that stuff, it's all coming back to the Gregorian calendar.
Absolutely.
Right? So with that out of the way, that's why I've synchronized these systems together. It's not like I'm trying to make one sound better than the other, because that's not the case. Like all things in life, you can't just take one data set and then go run with it. You need to take many. And then when you start seeing confluence, then you could feel more confident about your assessment. So my take on this Purim being on that Pi Day eclipse, it's definitely the coming full circle in the matrix. It's symbolic of such. So everything that's transpired since the Balfour Declaration with the Rothschilds, right? You brought them up.
Yep.
All of that shit, it's coming to a stop. This is the end of that. The wealth will transfer, and it will not go to Christians. It will not go to Muslims. It will go, all roads don't lead to Rome. All roads lead to Zionism, because they're the ones who run the system. So if you looked at life as a vessel or a container, and you looked at, if I wanted to paint a picture for all of you to visualize, we as humans are the rain, and Zion is the cup that catches all the rain. Every tax we pay, you go into your cupboard or your kitchen at home. You see that little kosher sign? That little kosher sign is a small amount of money from that. You bought a thing of pepper or oregano or any item in your house. If it has that little kosher sign on it, that means that there's a little bit of money going to a foundation that is ran by Zionism, just because they threw that little symbol on it. So I think that's a cool way to visualize it for everyone, to make things nice and simple. And I think this year is the guillotine that falls on, unfortunately, Jewish people, because it's not like anybody deserves anything here. It's just, it's kind of like the cult has to drown with the cult. And dude, Zionism runs the cult.
I'm telling you, what I'm going to show you in this video is going to shock you. Yeah. So can you tell my community do you know the history of Purim? Do you know basically, just in a couple sentences, do you know what Purim is about?
It's effectively a Jewish holiday commemorating the saving of the Jewish people from the hands of I would just say it's another holiday that aligns with them being treated poorly, and they made a holiday around it. And nobody could really prove what I just said. It's just a belief. And they've made many holidays that align with this. So when I explain this definition to people, the reason why I'm hesitant is because it's bullshit. It's like I'm giving you a fake. It's like, why does Christmas exist on Christmas Day? It's make-believe. But yeah, effectively, it's just another like, we were treated badly thing, so let's make a date about it.
Right. So,
and it's a celebration around that.
Yeah, it's a fictional story. I mean, just like so much in the Old Testament, it's fictional. I used to believe it was true and all that, but it's the population of Jews in ancient Persia was actually treated well. They basically became, the exilarchy grew up there. The exilarchy became the international ruling Sanhedrin for all the Jewish people, and all the orders that came down the trade routes to all the other Jewish communities came out of Iran. It had more authority than Jerusalem Sanhedrin, and it was longer lasting. It's called the exilarchy, and they operated out of Persia. And the Jews actually had it really, really good in Persia. And this story is about how good they had it, and the population was about fed up with them. And there was a ruler named Haman who was going to basically create legislation allowing them to get whatever pogrom, same thing the Russians did, pogrom, take their stuff, kick them out the country, kill those who resist, all that. And instead they had Ruth, who was a Jewish girl married to the king, or Esther, and Esther, changed the king's mind. And it's a typical Jewish story where the script is flipped, and now the Jews got to go out and instead of be a victim, they were allowed to victimize the population, go out, rape, kill, murder, do all that stuff.
Yeah, it's
So
the
not only
purge.
was Hammond and all 70 or 40 of Hammond's sons killed, but a significant amount of the population was killed too. Anybody in that population the Jews didn't like. So this is the background story to Purim. Now, 2007 was the last time. It's not very often that a lunar eclipse happens on Purim. This is a pretty special event. But March 13th, 14th is Purim. And this is where things are going to get really, really interesting because it ties in with all this stuff that I've been telling my community for the past 2 years in 11 predictions videos on the first and second seal. It's crazy. I just made these discoveries like in the last 2 days since you and I scheduled a video.
Nice.
But I'm going to show you real quick. We're going to come back to Purim.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to come back to Purim. I'm going to show you something else. Let me get rid of this. We're going to come back to Purim because this is the key to understand. But remember this date. For all intents and purposes right now, the date is March 13th. I want to show you, I have things in order here. I want to show you right now I plugged in the only 2 dates I had for the Dow Jones Industrial Average and how in the year 2025, right here, May 16th, May 16th, 2024, and October 14th, 2024. Can you see that at the top right here?
Mm-hmm.
These are X dates. This is X1 and X2. These are the only 2 dates for this projection. Now, instantly something came up very interesting. I have no filters activated here on the left. You see the filter box. The filter removes ghost projections. So all these filters from F3 to F7 are not marked. Filters F1 and F2 are marked for everything. I never take those off. But here is the interesting projection. This is the Dow Jones. All I did was a simple OPHIS projection on the Dow Jones Industrial Average. I took the two days where it spiked absolutely way higher than the average mean. And here's the 2 dates. And these 2 dates instantly identify March 14th as the first major signature here. The symbol here, and it's on these eclipses. I have eclipse tables right here. I can find, I can see any date in the future and tell you exactly where the moon's going to be. This was developed after you and I did our last video. See that?
Nice.
Yeah. So, let's see here. I want to show you this next chart. Okay. I want to show you, you see, this is the only symbol that appeared. This means 2 operations or 1 operation and 1 filter produce the output date. It's rare. It's not common like you think. OPHIS is removing thousands of dates in the future that are not geometrically, mathematically, or in any way connected to the two dates that were entered on the Dow Jones. So we have this one single signature that pops up on 3/14, Purim. I think I have one more chart. Yeah, here's a blow up of the chart. So this shows, this just tells the user which algorithms were operative here and what it hit. Now, I'm going to tell you now, just remember that's Purim. That's 3/14. But in and of itself, that doesn't mean anything. It's just a coincidence. Yeah. So let's look at something else. I'm going to show you.
And sorry, Jason, what were the 2 dates that you plugged in?
Let me go back to them real quick.
Because I just want to know exactly what was the data you input.
The only data that was input was May 16th, 2024 and October 14th, 2024. The 2 dates.
And why did you?
Come again?
Sorry. I was just going to ask you, why did you use those dates again?
Only because those are the 2 dates the Dow Jones spiked.
Okay, sure.
Now, let's see here. I want to show you. Now, let's just totally shelf that data set. Now we know, or at least I believe, that this shit here was a psyop. But it doesn't even matter what you believe. It doesn't even matter, dude. Let me
This is like the greatest picture of all time, though.
Oh, Oh, I know, man.
It's
Man.
fucking legendary.
They got the American flag in there. They got everything
It's
in there, man.
it's so
How did that
good.
happen?
I love that picture. When that moment happened, can I just really quick story? So I
Yeah.
called up my mom because me and my mom have this type of relationship where like we just laugh about the bullshit that unfolds in the world. So I hit up my mom and I was like, "Hey, you hear about what happened to Donnie?" And she's like, "Yeah, I just got off the phone with a cousin who said that they were in a mall." Bro, you aren't going to believe this. Nobody here's going to believe this. She called up a relative, said that he was in a mall. And when he got the alert on his like X or whatever that the president was almost killed, he said that he was walking down the mall on his way out and saw a kiosk selling T-shirts that were talking about this. Like they already had generated a T-shirt design. It wasn't this exact picture, but it was something along the lines of this.
Yeah, it's crazy.
And I was like, of course, they're making merch in advance for the moment. And a lot of people just couldn't accept that theory. But yeah, I know your people get it.
Like a Simpsons episode.
Your people get it.
Yeah. So check this out. Oh, let me backpedal real quick. You asked me a question. I kind of washed over it. You need to know. May 16th and October 14th, the 2 dates for the Dow Jones Industrial Average, it wasn't just spikes. Those 2 dates are extremely important because on May 16th, the Dow Jones surpassed 40,000 points for the first time. And on October 14th, it surpassed 43,000 points. These were records that were broke on those 2 days. So on Trump right here, this actor right here, I entered 3 OPHIS dates, just 3 dates into the software. So of course this is one of the dates I did. July 13th, 2024. This is the infamous sniper hit my ear, I dropped my shoe little debacle. Do you remember the significance in Freemasonry of dropping your shoe?
No, man, I haven't heard of that one.
Yeah, man, I did a whole post on X about it. I showed where it's in the rituals. Yeah, dropping your shoe was signifying to all spectators that might want to come help or intervene. Any Freemasons that were watching this or something, the drop of the shoe is literally that. Hey, I agreed to this. I'm not being forced against my will. So,
dude, their symbols and it's like umpires in baseball.
Yeah,
it's wild. It's wild.
That's the same. It's the same thing. What happened to Hitler when they supposedly, that footage they have of arresting Hitler. I said Hitler. I mean Hillary. Yeah, she left her shoe right there too, right there on the sidewalk. So,
yeah. I remember that too. Dude, this crazy when you start looking into the symbols and the hand. One thing that's important for me though is it's not my place to protect anyone, but when it comes to some of the hand symbols that you see, like when they're covering one eye, a lot of people have just taken that like that's like a negative thing or a bad thing, but actually it comes back to sun gazing or moon gazing, because there's a lunar eye and there's a Ra eye, there's a solar eye and there's a moon eye. So it's not like evil. It has nothing to do with that. First of all, the people that are doing these symbols, they don't even know what the fuck they're doing. They are told to do it. And they don't understand the symbolism, the power, the utility. For me, it's about revealing the utility, because I'm not here to talk shit about the New World Order. Like, it is what it is. The only thing I can control is my life and the trajectory of where I'm headed and what impact I can make on the world personally, right? So I try my best to take some of these things and tell people, there's something deeper there. But the dropping your shoe thing is... I can't come up with any reason outside of like, here I'm revealing that I'm absolutely a pawn in a game, and there's something way beyond me that is orchestrating my next move, and it shows up in the morning at breakfast, rolls a piece of paper in front of me and says, read this briefing, and when it says jump, you reply how high. And Trump is that guy. If people think that he is somehow free to do what he wants, bro, real quick, very important. All these people that are like, oh my God, he wants to take Canada and he wants to take Greenland. Just fucking study the Council of 300. Like, have you not looked into this playbook before? Have you not studied the Club of Rome?
Talking about the technocracy or whatever it is, technocrats, technocracy.
Yeah, just look into the Club of Rome map. I should probably make a post about this soon, but this is stuff that I've known about for over a decade, and I kind of feel like maybe it's important for the reminder because of the times we're in. But if you look at the Club of Rome map, it'll show you Canada, US, and Greenland are one. And that Mexico is kind of a part of the conversation, but they are one. And when Trump comes out and he specifically why are you targeting Greenland? It's the most unnecessary thing ever, right? But when we go to the Falklands Wars and the shit that was going on in Antarctica, there's a reason. And it's because there's technology or there's civilizations that are down there that they don't want us to have access to. So I'm sure what their vision is for the new world is to slowly unravel and show us what has been going on in parts of our realm that are quote unquote uninhabitable. And those are going to be your, probably technocrat paradises when the 15-minute cities roll out.
Yeah, well, they're coming. So you see the chart on the screen?
Yeah, it's a little, maybe zoom in a little bit more, but I could see it.
Okay, well, there's the 3 dates. So these 3 dates are July 13th, which is the assassination attempt on Trump. He cut his ear, dropped his shoe. So 9/15 of 2024 was an attempted assassination while he was playing golf. Dude didn't get too far. And it was on the news, but they arrested the guy or just shot him. I can't remember. But Trump was playing golf when that happened. And 11/05 is, of course, when he was reelected U.S. president. So these 3 are related to each other as they relate to Trump. Now, I don't know exactly if those I should add more dates, but I don't know. But these are the 3 most prominent Trump dates in 2024 right here. So I just added them in, and it's pretty interesting to see the development here. As you can see, this is the exact same chart. All I did was scroll down to more dates, and you see we do have a signature for May 14th. It's not a real strong one. I added another filter at the top to eliminate more dates, and it was still left behind. March 14th is still there as a prominent day. So I don't know. It's just doesn't prove anything. It just shows that in the field on Purim, there seems to be a lot of calendrics activity. And like I said, we haven't scratched the surface. I'm about to show you a lot of stuff. March 14th just keeps coming up over and over and over. So because I knew I'd be talking to you, I thought you might find this interesting. But I went ahead and ran a was this the one for the network? No, this isn't it. You know what? I do have it. Yeah, I ran the bank collapses. We'll get to that one later, but it's like 9 or 10 of them, I think. But all the banks that collapsed in 2023 and 2024, I ran those dates.
Yeah.
Do you remember that?
Yeah, the one that was the most popular was the event with Silvergate, Silicon Valley Bank.
I have those. They're on the chart. Yeah, those are on the chart.
Yeah, even Credit Suisse, and it was March 10th, 2023. So it's that March timeframe. And I'm sure you remember, I don't know if you were looking into markets at all, but if anyone just goes back to any chart, whether it's a crypto, gold, you want to look at the stock market, anything, go back to 2020. March 13th was a Friday the 13th. And that was where the market hit its absolute lows. And then the following day, it recovered. Crazy recovery. And if we go to the March 10th crash that happened in 2023, this banking collapse, Black Swan, we got bought back up in 2 days. We were recovered, and we were just as high as where we were the prior week. So these types of things that I think me and you are discussing right now, whenever we bring it back to the markets, it's a very explosive situation, but it's probably more of a recovery. It's an opportunity, I think, if anything. And that seems to be the language you were using when you gave your presentation at the beginning, is whatever occurs.
It's a transfer of wealth.
Yeah, whatever we're talking about, it's not doom and gloom. It's an opportunity, like all things in life. When everyone's running around and feeling like it's the end of the world, that's probably the best time to take action on anything, whether that's real estate that you've been waiting to buy or anything. Just keep it in that kind of essence.
Opportunity.
Exactly.
All right, so what you're looking at here, October 4th, 2021. So Facebook and all its subsidiaries, do you remember this date when Messenger, Instagram, Oculus, WhatsApp, and all these little things that are owned by Facebook, they just went down in one day inexplicably, all of it offline. It's not the only time it happened. So it happened again in March 5th of 2024. So what I had done is I found 4 dates. Here they are right here. I found 4 dates right here. I entered these 4 dates in there because these 4 dates represent October 4th is when Facebook and its subsidiaries crashed. This is online social media going down. It's like a social media blackout. February 22nd, 2024 was the AT&T mobility blackout. Until this date in February 22nd, most people didn't even know just how much AT&T owned, because all kinds of internet services, all kinds of cell phone services, they just blacked out on February 22nd, 2024. So 911 services, 125 million cell phones lost service. It was over 12 hours. It was just crazy. So
yeah.
On March 5th of 2024, Facebook again goes down, and it's inexplicable. It's almost like they were attacked. Facebook and Meta. So on July 19th is the most famous though. On July 19th, 2024, that's when the CrowdStrike, the crowd cybersecurity malware deal affected. I mean, it's remember Windows quit running. All the courts had to shut down. Banks had to shut down. The whole world was kidnapped because everybody runs Windows.
Yep.
So, yeah. So
yeah, it's a very powerful date. That 7/19 date, and the CrowdStrike symbolism was also very, very telling of what's coming.
Look, these aren't arbitrary dates. These dates are all connected in the field together. That's why I ran them. They all happen to do with media blackouts. Here it is. There's your date. Again, pops up March 15th.
Yeah, you want to know something funny? Guess when my birthday is?
Don't tell me March 15th.
No, it's March 16th.
You're
happy,
a baby.
happy birthday to me this year, bro. I'm excited.
Man. Yeah, man. So I'm gonna I'm gonna have to take you down memory lane real quick. Yeah, Purim 315, man. It's not, dude. It's gonna go so much deeper.
Yeah, I'm really glad that we're doing this now. Like, we're doing this early in advance, where like people could sit on this data for a minute and see how it transpires. But really good that we're doing this now.
Do you remember the Purge franchise movies?
Oh yeah, for sure.
Okay.
I was just thinking 2 days ago about the election one, the one that's specifically about the election. I think it came out in 2016. I believe. I might be wrong, but I think it came out in 2016.
Okay, so I did a video on the Purge movies because there's ritual programming in the exact dates that they were released. I showed in one of my predictions videos on the second seal concerning the eclipse of April 8th. We're going to have to revisit that because it's all connected to Purim. It's all connected to March 14th. But I showed how every one of these movies started a day countdown of amazing patterns between each other, and they all counted down like 1776 days, which is the number for American independence.
Yeah.
But all of them counted down these amazing countdowns to the exact dates when COVID-19 was first called a pandemic, when the WHO, the World Health Organization, absolutely declared a worldwide pandemic. When the United States government started locking down things, when President Trump declared a state of emergency. The exact day, all these movies counted perfectly to these dates. And isometrically, they linked up with the eclipse date, meaning meaning that the movies counted down to dates that were all COVID and vaccine related, even the release of both different versions of the vaccine. These movies counted down to those dates. I even provided charts for everybody on YouTube to see it. Then isometrically, meaning going in two different directions at the same time, starting with the central vaccine and COVID dates, going back in time lined up perfectly with all the Purge movies, going forward in time lined up with the April 8th eclipse. It is so unusual, but until 2 days ago, I didn't even understand the significance. I'm going to show it in here, but these are the Purge movie clips. You've seen these?
Yeah.
Purge has the same root as Purim, which is to purify.
Mm-hmm.
Look at the masks. Everybody's wearing masks. Everybody's wearing costumes. Purge night. Purge anarchy. So there's a ritual in the unfolding of these movies. They were not released on random dates. That's where I'm getting at. Mm-hmm. They were released on highly specific dates that anybody can go look at my earlier videos. I have so many fact checkers, and you can see all these mathematical patterns that are beautiful, that all align perfectly. Well, now I'm going to tell you that all the release dates of these movies absolutely align perfectly, also with March 15th. I couldn't believe it when I found it. I'm going to show you. Here's scenes from The Purge. We're not going to go in. I'm going to let people go back and watch those movies. If you don't know what I'm talking about, you can go in the description box. The links for those videos that I'm talking about are in the description box. Here is a advertisement for the Purge movies. Look at it. This is 2016. It says, "Keep America Great." This is the tagline of the movie. They say it many times. This is right before MAGA, Make America Great Again, took off. 2016 is when Donald Trump came in as president. So here it is, Keep America Great Again, in the Purge election year. Really weird things said in the movie, which had nothing to do with the movie. But a woman holding an assault rifle gets up in the middle of the Purge. And in the Purge, remember, the Purge is just like Purim. It's just like Purim. The whole concept of Purim, going out only at night for a predetermined period of time when the law has been suspended, so you can go out and exact vengeance on your neighbors and enemies. That's the concept behind Purim. That's also the concept behind the Purge movies. So it says, I'm doing God's work. He uses an earthquake, a virus. The masses nourish and flourish. I am that virus tonight. Anyway, she just goes off cussing now. I am a one-woman effing plague, and you're all in my path. Now, really weird, because the movie had nothing to do with the V. Nothing. And there's no earthquake in the movie at all. So we're dealing with predictive programming. What is it predicting? I'm not really sure. But the fact that it lines up to March 15th cannot be denied. I will show you the chart. So this was also said in the movie. The right arm of the free world and the left hand of God. In flaming fire, I take the heads of them that know not God. Okay, this is very Islamicist statement here. The right arm of the free world, conservative Christianity, the Christian Reich, the left hand of God, Islam. In flaming fire, I take the heads of them that know not God. What do they do in Islam? They behead you in the name of Allah. If you do not know God, know Allah. That's what they do. You get beheaded. So, this is the inspiration for the Purge movies. I never showed this in the original video because I just learned it. But there was a Star Trek episode where Leonard Nimoy and James, I forget his name. But anyway, Captain Kirk and Spock go to an alien world. And remember, Enterprise had a protocol. You could not interfere with the local traditions and holidays and festivals of the locals. You can't mess with them. So they observed one day out of the year, the local population on this alien world had a free-for-all where everything was suspended. Look at them. They're out there killing each other. And Kirk is sitting there watching this stuff. In the story, the Star Trek story, a very advanced AI runs the whole world. But the AI for one day had to reboot. It was offline. And that's when everybody just went off. They just had total chaos. This is a Star Trek episode from a long time ago. So,
wow, I've never heard of that's like the one thing you said today that I need to look into that.
oh, dude, this is going to get so deep. I haven't even scratched the surface, bro. I couldn't wait. I've been wagging my tail for 2 days waiting for this video.
Beautiful. I love to hear that.
So here's more Purge scenes. These are all the Purge movies. I just wanted to show these because a lot of people in my community watch those videos on the Purge. There's no doubting that the Purge movies were absolutely released on certain dates to calendrically perfectly line up with the release of Operation Warp Speed, the WHO announcing a pandemic. They were released to count down specifically perfectly too. They're linked to Pfizer and the opening of the Pfizer facility, the release of the vaccine by Pfizer, the Purge movies were linked to Pfizer perfectly. It's inescapable. Now I'm going to show you what they really go to. So Purim is very similar to it's being lunar based. It's based off the week. We all know that we derived the unit of time called a week from the Jews, the Hebrews, who got it from the Babylonians. It's a very ancient way of measuring time, and it's lunar in origin. But the week in the Old Testament is used in prophecy. This is in the book of Daniel. Everything's measured in weeks. In the book of Revelation, we have 7 different things that occur 7 times. 7 seals, 7 trumpets, 7 thunders, 7 angels, 7 vials of wrath, the 7 eyes of God. I forgot all of them, but you get where I mean. 7, yep. The week is of major calendrical significance. All right, I think we're done with these Purge. I have a little that's a Purge little movie clip. I'm not going to show that. That's too much. All right, so let me exit this. Well, actually, I can show that. Where is that? I can show that while I'm talking to you. So the Purge franchise consists of the following movies along with their release dates. I'm going to tell you the release dates. You had the first movie called The Purge. Then you had Purge Anarchy. Then you had Purge Election Year. All 3 of these, the story is sequential. They're all released in the order that they happened. Then the fourth movie breaks pattern because the 4th movie is a prequel, and it actually happened before the first movie. It's a blast to the past. This is important. This is important because I'm going to show it to you in the math as well. It was all intended that way. The 5th movie is the Forever Purge. And in the Forever Purge, it gets really weird because the focus is on Texas. The focus, and there's a reporter in Texas that even says Texas, right before the Purge starts, the Purim, whatever, right before the Purge starts, it specifically says, the news anchor specifically says, everybody, good luck. It says Texas, good luck and good night. It was a very enigmatic how she had said that. It's always stuck with me. So the first 3 Purge movies are in order, and the release dates are all precisely aligned with March 14th, 2025, in a timeline of weeks. Anybody can pull out on their cell phones and go to a date-to-date calculator. They're free. All you have to do is Google date-to-date calculator to verify what I'm telling you. But the weeks are prophetic cycles of the Jews. That all 3 movies fell on dates that are perfectly divisible in timelines counting weeks to March 14th is statistically improbable. Each countdown has a 1 in 7 chance of actually aligning perfectly, but all 3 did so. Do you understand what I'm saying here?
Yep.
I'm saying that there's a 1 in 7 chance only that one of those movies would make it to March 14th. But all 3 of them align perfectly in weeks, divisible by weeks to March 14th. I'll tell you how many weeks are in a second. So The fourth movie doesn't. It breaks pattern, but the fourth movie is a prequel. It's not in order. However, the date is also a part of the ritual. And what I mean is the fourth movie, which is a prequel, was released on July 4th. That's our American Independence Day. All the timelines counting down to the Pfizer releases, vaccine, the COVID announcements, all that in the eclipse were all in multiples of 1776 and other numbers related to the United States. But this fourth movie, which is a pattern break, was released on July 4th, which harks back to 1776. This is all predictive programming. So the pattern, though, continues with the fifth movie. It continues. And the fifth movie is actually a continuation of the first three, omitting the one that's out of place, which is a prequel. The Purge, the fifth movie was the one about Texas, focus on Texas. So The Purge was released on June 7th, 2013. June 7th was the very first Purge movie. June 7th, 2013 is 4,298 days to March 14th, 2025. That's exactly 614 weeks to the day. The Purge Anarchy is the second movie. It was released on July 18th, 2014. That's 3,892 days to March 14th, 2025. That's 556 weeks to the day. The third movie is The Purge Election Year. Hold on, let me see what's going on here. I need to see. All right. The Purge Election Year, released on July 1st, 2016. That's the movie you were talking about, Jordan.
Yeah.
2016. The Purge Election Year was July 1st, 2016. It is precisely 3,178 days to March 14th, 2025. 454 weeks to the day. The fourth movie, which is called The First Purge, was released on July 4th, 2018. It's the prequel pattern break, but the story and narrative and sequential order continues with the fifth movie, The Forever Purge, released on July 2nd, 2021, precisely 1,352 days to March 14th, 2025. 193 weeks. There is no way, it is statistically impossible for these four movies to align like that. The laws of probability mandate there's going to be something wrong with them. This is by design, 100%. So remember this, the book of Daniel is prophetic. Weeks are the basic Jewish foundation in prophetic rituals. This is weeks. Book of Revelation is also in weeks. So these weeks are really weird. We're gonna have to break from that for a second so I can show you how compelling this material is about anarchy. I'm gonna show you something. It's crazy.
I also think one of the films, I'm not sure which one it is. I don't know if it's election year or not, but it was the Purge date was like on March 22nd.
Right?
I think so. I forgot which one it is, but I remember when I watched it, I was like, oh, of course they picked that day. But there you go. It's another March date. Okay,
so in the Purge movies, pay very close attention. In the Purge movies, everybody's dressed like clowns. Everybody's dressed in all these weird and almost evil-like outfits because you're supposed to be anonymous. Why? You don't want your fellow Jews to know what you did. Because Purim is about exacting vengeance on the host country that you're living in. So here it is, Purim. This is Purim right here. Here's the date. March 14th. The only reason it says March 13th is because the Hebrew reckoning time starts the night. The night begins the day. That's why Genesis has the evening and the morning as the first day. So we move on. Here's Purim right here. Jewish holiday about ancient Persia. What does it say? It says carnival-like celebrations, plays, beauty contests are customary for Purim. So imagine my surprise when I look up Purim costumes. What do you see here? What
crazy.
does that look like? It almost looks exactly like the costumes used in the Purge franchise. I'm not done. Here's family Purim costumes.
It's Jewish Halloween.
That's exactly how some of these articles I read on Purim describe Purim to them. It's like a Halloween for them.
Yeah.
I didn't know all this, dude. This is all new to me. Yeah, man.
And they're dressing like clowns, and this is the Nephilim.
This is Harley Quinn type stuff, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude. I'm not making this up. They're wearing Jewish flags and dressed like that. It even says Purim underneath all the search tags. Yeah, I'm not making this up. This is the Purge franchise right here, disguised. That's crazy. Look at this. How Jews are addressing the Megillah, bloodiest chapter during the wartime, this Purim. Here's how they're celebrating. This is how they're addressing it. Look at these costumes. This is in the Jerusalem Post. This is an official article in the Jerusalem Post. This is March 15th, 2024. Look at this. You know what's really crazy? Do you want to know what's super crazy? March 15th last year was not Purim. March 15th is when this article was published.
So creepy.
Dude, it's creepy as hell. It is creepy as hell. The holiday of Purim, from salvation to vengeance. This is Rabbi Professor David Frankel, and he's basically explaining what was going on. That's right. Yeah, there it is. Yeah, Purim is literally built from the same root to purge. It's a purge. All right, let me get out of here real quick. I got all these things open, don't I? All right. Hope I'm not boring you, my brother.
No, it's all good. Yeah, I mean, March, April, May this year is going to be fascinating. I feel like the year already started out pretty crazy. The last whole year was madness. It's like, when will it? I don't think the chill mode is coming back for a while, because personally, with my work that I do, 2026 is probably going to be whatever goes on this year, multiply that by 2, 3, 4.
Okay. All right. So
27 is probably going to be decent. 28. Next Shemitah is really important, because the one that follows a Jubilee is kind of like their return back to the chaos that they do. Jubilee is more about holding off. That's why they hold 2023 from Rosh Hashanah to 2022 to 2023. Rosh Hashanah was perfectly normal. Nothing weird was going down in the world. And then the moment Rosh Hashanah happens in 2023, everything starts to unfold in Israel in October, the following month, within a calendar month. So next Shemitah year that's going to happen is going to be very, very dramatic, because of course it's moving into their grand plan, which I'm not 100% sure I fully believe in, but it seems that they're laying the infrastructure and groundwork to make it happen, which is the Agenda 2030 situation. So perhaps we could talk about that, but that's probably getting a little too far ahead of ourselves. It's probably best to focus on.
I don't mind what direction we go in, but you got to know this, Jordan. I'm not done with March 15th, 14th. I'm not done. This is still going to get crazier.
Yeah, that was my point, was getting back to like the focus on this year.
So 2020 March 14th, Purim this year got me looking in the calendrics again. Now, in my 2025 predictions video, I only focused on years, and it's a different system of calendrics. It has nothing to do with the Office software. So Office software is a diurnal-based software. It only operates on days. Can't even use years. So I'm looking at Office, and I see all these things that, like I showed you, that kept popping up the 14th and 15th. But something just told me, wait a minute. Because I believe I'm a simulationist, and I believe that all of this is protocols and programming, and I believe that we're not in a real reality, we're in a perceived one. I understand that the history of the world is punctuated through programming, this is my earnest belief after hundreds and hundreds of presentations showing just this. So it was nothing to me to just Google something. I just Googled something. I went to a special website that's what happened on this day in history. And I pulled up March 14th, and the first hit I got was a major year in my 2025 Calendrix video that said something major is going to happen this year concerning the U.S. currency, the U.S. dollar. Well, on March 14th in the year 1900, the gold standard came into existence when Congress passed the Currency Act. The United States in 1900 backed their money with gold. This is the year 1900. The day it happened was March 14th, 1900. Now, this was followed in 1923 on March 14th. U.S. President Warren Harding, a president you never even hear about. Warren Harding becomes the first president ever to pay taxes. I wonder why. That was 1923. Federal Reserve had only been around for 10 years. So March 14th, 1936 is the beginning of the Federal Register. This blew my mind. It is the very first federal magazine ever published. It was published in 1936. March 14th is when publication began. Volume 1 of the Federal Register was published March 14th, 1936. March 14th, 1994. This was the timeline of Linux development. This was version 1.0.0 is released to the public. Remember, in that time period, 1994, Linux was the state-of-the-art programming. This is all. The reason these are all significant is because they correlate. There is a correlate between the Office predictions showing that we're expecting some type of massive event concerning world economy, the U.S. dollar, and something to do with online activity, maybe being suspended for something. All this lines up perfectly with March 14th in the calendrics, in the isometrics, and in the Office projections. So this right here is just a whole separate series of dates that actually adds to this. March 14th, the year 2020, the U.S. House passes the coronavirus bill. Trump declares a state of emergency, and immediately the stocks soar in the biggest rally since the stock market crash of 2008. All that happened in one day, March 14th. Anybody wants to know, I'm drinking tea. I think it's orange pico tea. Somebody asked in the chat. So I got to share my screen because I'm just not done showing you stuff. So what I want to do, because a lot of this is scattered, what I want to do, and I'll probably do it after the video's over, Jordan, is I'll probably do a post that just itemizes every single thing that I have recorded for March 15th, 14th.
Be great.
Let's see. I'm going to share the screen. Okay. As far as it is so crazy how all those movies I showed you lined up with these 3 eclipse dates. We're talking about the Purge franchise. Anybody could go back to those videos and watch them. But they lined up with the eclipse dates right here. And the eclipse dates themselves were also significant events concerning COVID-19 and different vaccine, news. It's all here. So, and I showed in those videos that these eclipse dates absolutely line up perfectly with major events concerning these timelines. Here's the center one here. This was a huge eclipse in South America. But all three of these are American eclipses, but this is South America. December 14th, 2020. Total solar eclipse over South America, Chile, Argentina. Vaccine is first made available, manufactured in Chesterfield, Missouri, the Pfizer facility. Where one of these other eclipses, I believe it was April 8/21/17, the shadow passed right over it. Or that might have been the April 8th one. I'm not sure. Electoral College elects Joe Biden for president. We keep in the independent timelines of the presidency, independent timeline of COVID-19, independent timeline of vaccine news, vaccine distribution, vaccine approval, vaccine development, all that, independent timeline of eclipses. Why do they keep crossing each other, synthesizing perfectly? I've showed this over and over and over in these videos. And now the synthesis includes March 14th.
Mm-hmm.
Here is. Oh yeah, I went into great depth on the Purge movie. Here you can see the Purge movies here in this chart. Purge Anarchy. There's the dates of the release of the Purge. The mathematical patterns are amazing. Where these Purge movies line up perfectly with these eclipse dates. It's crazy. I got anybody can see this chart in the video. If y'all want me to, I'll repost these charts to freshen your minds on Twitter if you want me to, or on YouTube. Y'all just let me know. Also, here's a hand-drawn chart like you were talking about, Jordan, showing the breaking of the seals, the timeline we're on,
mm-hmm.
and how everything's been. All these eclipses are showing this exact timeline. This is the Greek Olympiad timeline overlaid the older Pythian timeline of the Delphic Oracle. And these are the two timelines that the Olympics and the U.S. presidency run off of. These are the two timelines that I've been showing in the Olympic ceremonies. The links for those videos are in my description box. But I have two very long videos breaking down the 2012 Olympics and showing you how the opening ceremony and the closing ceremony are literally mapping out the future for you to see. And this mm-hmm. This is the future they map out. This is the order. These are the dates. But yeah, so we have right here, if you look on 2025, right here in the middle, 2025 isometrically lines up perfectly. If our timeline was a curving holosphere, 2025 is 2015 is a reflection of 2025 right here. And what did we have in 2015? We had a whole lot of widespread Islamic bombings. So anyway, it's just a data point. It's nothing serious, but if y'all want to in the chat, just let me know. I'll repost those charts for everybody to look at again. So here's something that's really strange to me, Jordan. Really strange. We'll get to those bank collapses in a minute. But last year, there was a whole lot of hype about this movie. And the movie sucked. Everybody who watched it, they said it sucked.
Yeah, it was pretty weird.
There was a lot of hype about this movie, Civil War.
Yeah.
But it too is a part of predictive programming.
Yeah.
That's all it is. It's predictive programming. Why do I say that? Let me show you. Civil War. Here it is. What's its release date? When was it released to the public?
Yeah, I remember catching this. It's hilarious.
March 14th, 2024. Okay. It's real easy to say, hey, Jason, you're reaching. You've provided some really interesting coincidences, but this is reaching. Well, I'm going to tell you now, we've already seen how Hollywood has released all kinds of predictive programming in films. Simpsons does it all the time. But if you think this is reaching, I want you to take this into consideration right here. What the subject matter of is the video. Because on March 14th, 2024, American consciousness was able to observe the series of events in this movie. The movie is patently stupid. The concept is stupid. But it's just a total weird scenario that Texas would ever politically align with California against the rest of the country. It's just
Right.
dumb.
Doesn't
It's
make any
dumb.
sense.
But that's not. They don't care. They had an agenda with this movie. It's
Well,
about
there is a little piece to this though, and I don't mean to cut you off. It's just like I do feel though that the chaos that happens in California, specifically Southern California, is going to flood into Texas. Meaning the people who are displaced from those areas will go one of two places, maybe three. We can maybe entertain Nevada, but usually they go to Texas. And it starts with the industries moving there. It starts with the opportunities moving there. It starts
I'm
with all
living
of,
in Texas, and I'm living what you're describing.
yeah,
My area, from North Houston all the way up to Huntsville, is
yeah,
exploding. Infrastructure, new
yeah.
neighborhoods are popping up everywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we'll get back to your thought, but it just is, I just kind of want to wrap that up by saying that, well, if the state of Texas is infiltrated and it becomes more of that type of mindset and culture, which I'm not saying it will, but we do have to entertain this, and we do have to, of course, admit that many people from California have moved to Texas since 2020, the C-19 scam. I believe that it's become quite obvious. It'll ramp up even more through 2025. And well, yeah, when the majority of the state becomes either people from Mexico directly or people from California, then what are you left with? I mean, the merger of those states on the political side of things perhaps doesn't make any sense, but then when it comes to the overall population, then sure. I mean, why not? And the government does whatever the fuck they want to do anyways. It's not like they're going to ask your opinion to do. There's not going to be a vote. There's not going to be a vote on this. They're not going to like text you and be like, "Hey, what do you think about this idea?" They're just going to do it under a state of emergency. FEMA will be, Anyways, we'll get back to your thought, but I just want to interject with that notion that it could be a possibility for those two to merger just because of the fact that many from Cali are entering Texas.
Yeah, no, there's no doubt. Absolutely no doubt. Let's see, I'm gonna see something real quick. I do have one thing to cut. All right. Yeah, I'm wrapping this part up, but I do have a data point that I need to drop to my Archaix veterans because they are going to have their minds blown. But listen, the Civil War movie is stupid because nowhere in the movie does it even describe how the Civil War started, because it wasn't the point. It wasn't even the point. There was an agenda to this movie. It's never made it clear as to why the war started or how all these different the Florida alliance and some weird other alliance, I can't remember. But anyway, so it literally reversed many of the things in this movie. So journalists are the heroes in this narrative. It's about the struggle of the journalist, and special attention is given to how bad the military treats the poor journalists. This is what the focus of the movie is. It's all about the trying to get you sympathy for the journalists. It shows U.S. soldiers executing journalists. It shows all kinds of stuff. Who are the main journalists? Who funds the journalists? What is journalism today?
Right.
Yeah. So anyway, I don't have to say it out loud. So a woman, just a random scene in the movie, a woman holding a U.S. flag runs into a crowd of people, and she's a suicide bomber and blows everybody up.
Right.
Total reversal of facts here in this movie. Now, so the war, it does say in the movie that the war is mainly fueled by personal hatred against the president. This was said twice in the movie. That it wasn't even political. It was a personal hatred of the president that got all these people wired up, and it caused an insurrection. The insurrection fractured America into different groups, and the biggest group was the Western Front, and there's only two states in the Western Front, Texas and California. It was so dumb, but anyway, the point of the entire movie is killing the president, which happens at the end of the movie. That's it. It's just a dumb movie called Civil War, released on March 14th. The focus is on poor journalists, and the subject matter is the effort to kill the whole country, trying to kill the president, and they ended up doing it at the end of the movie. So
Yeah.
it's just, it's just another data point. But how many data points do we need to stack up for there to be something really, really curious about March 14th now?
Yeah, and there's also the sequence of events that have unfolded since 2020 that have made even the average person no longer trust mainstream media. And a lot of these famous news anchors offing the platform and going to places like X. Like Tucker Carlson has become like a celebrity superstar. We're seeing all these like X Fox, X CNN
Yeah.
anchors go onto their own personal,
Oh, it's
platform.
not just them. It's ex-CIA, Sean Ryan. How the
Sure.
hell do you get 20 million subs or how? No, man, we already know, man. You already know you
Yeah.
already know
So
who's a part of the program, man.
yeah. So the point that I'm getting to with this is that if the average person, and I'm not trying to like name names here, but let's just say the unaware are to also not trust mainstream media, legacy media, and now they start getting everyone has synchronized where we quote unquote trust the media to come from, which by the way is just other civilians using x.com. That now makes it so that if there is any chaotic events, if there is anything to go down on the world stage, we will accept it more from it coming on these new platforms. And you have to realize like who's running this platform. Like look at who is running it. It's the person that's directly tied to the political party and slash agenda that will unfold on the world stage. So the power move of purchasing Twitter by Elon and everything else that's unfolded from that. And I think this is a sign that if there was to be an event, it would be civil war like because people don't know what to trust anymore. They don't know what the truth is. And AI has gotten so sophisticated, not only with like voice recognition software, but so we can take a couple things that we just discussed. One of which was the blackout scenario or like an internet kind of hack. We
Mhm.
can entertain that idea. Then we can entertain the potential assassination of the president. Then we could
Wow,
entertain.
a lot of this data, folks, is pointing in that direction, bro.
Yeah, so where I'm going is that I think there's an alignment of how this can sequentially play out, but it would effectively start with the hatred that they have for Trump. He has been a little too, like, I mean, of course, he has to do what he's told, but if you've listened to anything he's released since winning the election, it sounds like we're going to have a brand new country. Like everything about the security and safety of the old ways is going to be removed from the feet of Americans. And many who like Trump have just believed that it will all be good, righteous things. And whatever, it is what you believe. I can fucking care less. But my whole take on it is it's just plays from the New World Order playbook that'll be unraveled and it will accomplish the overall agenda. But the hate that he's received from his decisions and some of the policies that he said that he will do on day one, I believe it will be so explosive if he even does 10% of what he's promised. If he even does 10%, that is purge worthy. And the people that like him are the ones that are armed, the people that have the guns, the people that have the protection, the people that have the training, right?
Right.
So I'm not entirely sure what's going on the military level. I'm sure there's people that are more tapped into that and they could investigate into like who are the military personnel or police law enforcement pledging their allegiance to during this transition. Because if they are really doing it for Trump, then all it takes is for Trump to make some of these changes, announce what he will do, and then on day 2 or 3, the people that don't agree with it will say their piece, and then Trump will tell his cult, handle it, and they will. And once he gives that order, like he did with the January 6th thing, again, it's all scripted, it's all bullshit, it's all make
Right.
believe. But once it plays out that way, now they have AI running all social media. They have nobody watching their television anymore, unless it's for Netflix or whatever. So you're going to be bombarded with a situation, a scenario, a black swan event. And it's going to cause this chaos, confusion, disruption. And then all things will unravel very similarly to March of 2020. So I feel like if we were to pinpoint when this could occur, it makes so much sense for it to be March, April, because of the timeline of all the most important events that have ever unfolded in US history, besides
I agree.
just independent stock market crashes,
I
which
agree.
tend to be in the month of September, October. So, I mean, American Revolutionary War, April, American Civil War, April, We saw so many things go down on this April 14th or April 15th date specifically. It's a very popular ritual date. The burning of Notre Dame, very, very symbolic. Then we just had last year the burning of the Copenhagen Stock Exchange on April 15th. This is all symbolic of, oh, by the way, it was a dragon spire that burned in Copenhagen, and we were in the year of the dragon. This is something that's unfolding for us. And I do very much agree with what you said, because of the quality of the Civil War movie was such dog shit that it was just to hypnotize us into accepting a scenario, because it had no other context really going on. It was just like the movie started, it was garbage the whole time, but it was programming, right? We all know this. But I think we just deciphered quite a bit of things, and your predictive analysis definitely supports things that I've been saying for the last 6 months in regards to the month of March for 2025. So yeah, let's get the train on the rails here, because there's so many things we've discussed. And I think what people probably want to know most is like, how do you think it could go down? I've shared kind of my piece in that I believe I've left a little bit of a foundation for us to build off of. But I'm a little worried that all of humanity is engaged solely on social media to get all of their truth. And perhaps there's many great places to find truth. I believe you're somebody that's doing your part in this, but it's mostly garbage. It's mostly lies. And when we see like these accounts, like what's his name, this Hollywood actor, Russell, whatever, huge account. We're seeing these huge so-called truther accounts blow up.
Russell Brand?
Correct. Yeah, and I don't mean to. I don't.
The child catcher.
Yeah, I don't want to talk about other people. Like, it is what it is. I'm revealing what I see unfolding right in front of my eyes. How the so-called truther movement, which is mostly kind of built and fueled by the QAnon psyop, it's now gotten even stronger since the day that Trump was almost assassinated, and that famous picture that you pulled up before was shown. And then it got even stronger when he won, and even stronger when Elon talked with Joe Rogan about, his feelings on all of this. And it's just getting stronger and stronger and stronger, to the point where like we're at peak cult. We're at peak cult right now. And I think March 2025 would be the like Jonestown ritual. It's like he tells you what to do, and we all drink the Kool-Aid, and then we see how it goes. So I'm waiting for the day, because I think that what I've just said is not far-fetched at all. He will give an order, and that's how it will go, in my opinion. It won't be anything else. It will be Trump gives the order, and we'll see what social media does after. And by the way, last thing I'll say, because social media will get so fucking chaotic, that's your hack of the social media platforms. If they pull social media for fucking 1 hour, get ready for bedlam. Because if we have an event triggered by Trump, plus no way to contact each other or to access each other in communication, because we barely talk to our fucking neighbor anymore in this world, well, guess what? People are not going to know how to handle that moment. They're going to go, what do I do? Where's the, the broadcast? What's happening? I have no Wi-Fi. I think it's going to go like that. And I'm not sure if I can isolate this just to the United States, because I feel like there's an opportunity for this to happen in many places. And perhaps that's another kind of predictive programming thing. Give us all this shit for the US when it comes to Hollywood, but it actually occurs somewhere else. It actually occurs in like Berlin, Germany, or it actually occurs in Rome, Italy. I don't know. I'm just using my intuition right now that it's a little too obvious if they keep showing us America is going through this Civil War experiment. Just my take. I'm not entirely sure if I believe the American spirit is that fucked and that demoralized. Perhaps in a sense, many are. But I just think that the most volatile humans are these overly liberal people who are like kicking and screaming that they lost this battle. But they're unarmed and harmless, and they're just keyboard warriors. It's really the conservative, the other side that is where we would maybe worry a little bit more when it came to reality, because these people are not going to let you borrow some sugar from them or a gallon of gasoline. They're going to be like that guy Kevin Bacon in the movie Leave the World Behind. That's exactly how these so-called preppers are going to behave. You're going to show up on their lawn, and they're going to come outside with their shotgun and be like, "What the fuck do you want?" Promise you guys, it's going to go like that. Everybody who's prepped, who has a gun, who has some supplies, they're not going to be peaceful about this. They're going to protect their own. They're going to be really like, and I can't even call them selfish because they did their part, you know? So it's good on them for protecting them and their families, but they're outnumbered, bro, because there's 100 to 1 when it comes to who's prepared for this and who isn't.
Yeah, those are good points. My vantage points is slightly different. I don't see Civil War. The movie Civil War was not in any way for me to promote that. I don't see Civil War. I see the same thing I've been seeing for the past about 3 years. I've been talking about on YouTube. There's going to be a specific date in the very near future when all these cells and all these foreigners that have been put in all these Western countries are going to be activated, and they may not even, most of them may not even know why they're actually there, why they have a debit card from the WEF that gives them $2,500 a month, pays their bills, why they have this. But there's going to come a day in the future when their cards worldwide don't work, and it's going to cause problems. You know?
Yeah, that's like the Handmaid's Tale. Have you seen that?
No.
Just watch the first episode if you have a chance, or maybe somebody in your community could just send you the clip of how that starts. Because the way Handmaid's Tale, most people, when they hear about Handmaid's Tale, they just hear about like what's going on in the aftermath, but most people kind of skip over the way it all goes, which is the main character, a woman. She goes to a store with her friend, like, I don't know, a coffee shop, and basically she goes to pay with her credit card or her debit card, and it doesn't accept the funds. And then she starts looking around being like, I don't know what's going on. And then if she finds out that all the other women, none of their cards work. So it's only men who have access to their bank accounts. And then all the women basically get taken away into internment camps. And then the show starts. But the way it starts, like really, literally, is where the women's credit cards or debit cards don't work. So they shut down all the bank accounts of women. I mean, I'm not like, again, it's a show, it's an idea. I'm not sure if that's really what's on the horizon, but I'm just saying that I agree with you. I don't think there's going to be civil war unless there's something kind of more nefarious than maybe we could all imagine, which could be something like a debt reset, something that deals with money. Because in this world, I think we learned it with C-19 too. They could tell you to stay at home and lock down and lose your business and this, that, and the third. But the moment you start getting a little like antsy and you're about to cause chaos, the New World Order goes, oh, here's a $2,000 check. Shut the fuck up. Just take this money. And they could just deposit it into your account. You don't need to go to an office somewhere or wait for mail to show up. When they want to control us, they can just give us money and we'll all, it's like the perfect pacifier for the average. So I do think a debt reset program is underway. I don't know if it necessarily ties to the connections that you found for 2025 specifically, but do you want to talk about that a little bit? Because
could it be a debt jubilee?
Sure. But that's a positive thing, bro. When we say debt jubilee, we're assuming that it's a positive thing, like the QAnon shit. I don't believe that at all. I am a 0% believer that there will be a quote unquote debt jubilee. What there will be would be a world debt forgiveness program after a world debt reset program. So there will need to be a revamp of the whole fucking thing that we've been doing, and it's tied to social credit. And I know this sounds very draconian and awful, but I don't think it's going to be for everyone. It's going to be phased. It's going to be in phases. So who's the number one that it's going to affect most? It would be people who are either something dealing with criminality. I'm not sure exactly how deep I could go into that, but then the other side would be people that haven't been paying their taxes, people that have been avoiding the system completely, people that are like off the grid. And that I don't think is 100% possible in a place like Mexico, or it's not possible maybe in Costa Rica, but it's 100% possible in Australia, Canada, United States of America, most of Europe for sure. It's ultra advanced and it's easy to already do. Here in the United States, you can't even go to a restaurant anymore without your cell phone because you need a fucking phone to do the QR code to get the menu. Right. They're making it literally impossible to not have your phone. Every banking institution wants to send you a text message when you're logging into their website so they could send you a code to confirm. They've locked us into these mobile devices for a reason. So I do think a world debt reset program is more likely than a forgiveness. I can't entertain that at all. That is way too positive. The New World Order, Daddy Zion does not give a fuck about us. They consider us goyim. We're cockroaches, okay? That's how they look at us. We're beasts. They don't even accept us as human. We're less than that to them. Those are the people that run the world. And
I'm familiar with all that.
Donald Trump kisses the wall. Like, he is 100%.
I say that in my videos all the time. When they ask
Right.
me, everybody asks me about Trump, I say he kissed the wall. That's all I got to say.
So I'm not trying to go too deep into that, and it's not to educate you per se. It's just to get the conversation into the rails of like, what does 2025 have in store for us for these type of events to go down, and what could we assume is the case? I do think a World at Reset program is underway, but I don't think for America. I think for Canada, and that's why they're doing all this bullshit right now. Like, Trudeau is out and Trump wants to take it over. They want to make it the 51st state because it's a fucking beta test for the World Debt Reset program. Period. End of story. So if you're Canadian, I'm sorry, like, you better figure shit out, like, because they're not going to make it easy. They're just not. And I know that's not positive to hear right now, but Canada already has the infrastructure and the consciousness to accept this type of thing unfolding.
I'll be down. Well, I'm still sticking to my guns, man, about March 14th. It has something to do. It absolutely has something to do with Trump, and it has something to do with the vaccine. And like I told you earlier, the weeks, the fact that all these things are synthesized through the eclipse, the April 8th eclipse, is just amazing. But I'll give you an example. Like December 11th, 2020, the FDA authorizes Pfizer to administer its vaccine. This is precisely 1,554 days to March 14th, 2025. That's exactly 222 weeks. But a week later, not 6 days, not 5 days, not 8 days, exactly 1 week later on December 18th, 2020, the FDA gives Moderna, not Pfizer, now gives Moderna permission to release its vaccine version. This is 1,547 days, precisely 221 weeks to March 14th. So we have May 4th, 2023. The World Health Organization declared the end of COVID-19 emergency. What's crazy? Listen, man, this is where it gets weird. So the April 8th eclipse that I showed on that chart, which is connected to all the Purge movies and connected to all the news of different vaccine news in the past. Mm-hmm. So April 8th is the 340th day after May 4th, 2023, when the World Health Organization declared COVID-19 emergency was over. It still existed, but it wasn't a worldwide emergency anymore. So 340 days later was that badass eclipse that formed the X over America, April 8th. Now,
great American eclipse.
But if you count another 340 days, from April 8th eclipse, you get precisely March 14th, Purim, the lunar eclipse. So for my Archaix veterans, I know a lot of people. I got new people listening to my channel. I got 3,500 people in the chat. I know I got a lot of your community in here. Listen, you're not going to know what I'm talking about, but my Archaix veteran knows. You guys know. You guys know the Nemesis X number is 792. You can't make this stuff up right here. You just can't. Weeks are it's Jewish providence. This is how they measure things in prophetic timelines, in weeks. March 14th, 2025 is precisely 792 weeks to the Phoenix phenomenon date of May 18th, 2040. I tell my community all the time, in calendrics, you can also use dates you already know exactly what's going to unfold on those dates, because you've got massive timelines that go out 58 centuries. You can use dates in the future to verify dates in the present. Do it all the time. I show my community how to do this all the time. But the Phoenix phenomenon date, May 18th, 2040, is the 138th day of the year. 2040 is 138 years after 1902, the last Phoenix year. So anyway, the reason I'm saying all this is because I want to over-accentuate. You keep asking me what I think is going to happen. I'm telling you now, March 14th, Purim has something to do with the vaccine, because the Purge movies were actually predictive programming concerning the vaccine and chaos erupting in the Western world. So, I mean, I don't even know. We could go into, I have to look at it because I don't have dates for it.
Yeah.
But I'm really suspicious that the 5G towers have a lot to do with what's in people's blood now. I just don't
Yeah,
know.
I think it's also quite a bit of things. Like they're spraying way more than barium, strontium, aluminum on us. This
Right.
stratospheric aerosol injection, people call it chemtrails.
Right.
But this is yeah, they've been testing some of this shit, like people who are running their private labs and keeping the sun. Well, again, this is maybe a little bit more on another tangent, but I'm feeling that that is also linked to what will unfold regarding the jabs. So it would not
Yeah, man.
shock me if it's a multifaceted sort of thing, with food being one of them, clearly. Then also the air quality being another one. Then also the sky in general, just being planes flying over it all day, stratospheric aerosol injections. And this is not happening just in America, it's happening on a global scale. Like if they want to make rain, they could do it right now. They just shoot this shit into the inner Earth's atmosphere and it will happen.
Absolutely, they can.
And the consequences
Absolutely.
that has on human health, like I've been telling people this for a while now because I'm really into health and wellness. I'm really into food, nutrition, physiology, etc. And I've told people like not to be the bearer of bad news, but it's like you can go after the most amazing biodynamic, organic fruits, vegetables, produce you want, even if you're somebody who consumes flesh. If you wanted to get the best grass-fed beef or whatever, realize that it's still being sprayed by this shit from the sky, and it's affecting every animal, every plant, everything, all the air we breathe. So I do believe that that's probably a big part of it. And then the final piece is the screen staring, the fact that most of us spend a lot of our time every day staring at screens. So you have this blue light exposure. It's definitely causing problems. You add all those things together, and it's a recipe for disaster if you got a vaccine.
Oh, no doubt.
So I didn't even talk about the 5G tower. I left that as like a garnish. It's like the piece of parsley on the top of the meal, in my opinion. Like what I think is the way bigger problem is the food mixed with the stratospheric aerosol injections mixed with the screen staring. We're all on our phones now. I mean, C-19 lockdowns was like 2.5 years for some people where like all they did was communicate with each other through a mobile device or through a computer screen. I have to deal with it too, bro. You have to deal with it because this is a big part of our lives with our communication with our communities. It's our business too. So I've taken this very seriously in many ways, but it's like, how do you escape that? What could you... So I think the New World Order is smart enough to know, like, if we can't get you with the 5G shit, we'll get you with the screens. We'll get you with something, because that's the way a spider builds its web, okay? A spider builds its web, so it'll catch butterflies, it'll catch mosquitoes. It's a very intricate pattern that it builds, and it will camouflage the positioning of that web and where it's built so that it can maximize its surface area and catch as many things as possible with zero fucking effort after it's built the web. It just needs to put in that effort to build a web. And then once it's done, it's chilling and it's catching us all day. I do suspect that 2025 could be a year where a lot of these inoculations do cause something that we did not see, but maybe some people expected earlier in the PSYOP. You know what I'm saying? Because when we first started learning about germ theory and terrain theory and all this stuff with the vaccinations, many in the truther community specifically had this belief that everyone was just going to die instantaneously. You know, like we would have a population drop off that was instantaneously noticeable. But it wasn't necessarily the case. There was obviously lots of myocarditis and heart attacks and sudden death of very young people that would never normally happen under most ordinary circumstances. But the last thing that I want to say about this is, have you ever looked into Deagle, this military website that provides data for the world population?
Yeah, but didn't they take the Deagle report down for 2025?
I'm not sure what they've done recently, but this is some shit that I learned about like 3 years ago, maybe 3 or 4 years ago.
Massive depopulation in 2025, but then like 9 months ago, a whole lot of people reported they took the Deagle report down.
I wonder why. This data is fucking alarming when you look at the population drop, especially in the United States of America. I think it went from like 300 something million down to like 80 million. Like where are those 220 million plus 250 million probably plus people, where are they going? So either this data is just for
I think they thought that this program was going to do a lot more than it did.
What program?
The whole Vax program.
Okay. But is this the year that we maybe start seeing some of that unfold? Year of the snake, bro. The snake bites you, and the venom.
It very well could be. There's a lot of programming for this year.
Yeah, this is huge. Two things I want to reveal. One is this doctor that got very famous in the midst of C-19 who was talking about snake venom. You remember this? I don't remember his name. I'm not trying to be disrespectful to the doctor. Maybe he's a good guy. Maybe he means well. Maybe he's accurate in what he's saying. But when I heard about all this shit about the snake venom stuff, I immediately thought snake year. And then the movie Leave the World Behind comes out, and they rain down those pamphlets, and you see the snake written on the pamphlet. I have a big decode coming out for the year of the snake because every year I do a Chinese New Year decode. It's usually like an hour-long presentation. So I have one I'm preparing in the background, but that was a big kind of, what is it called? Easter egg in that movie. And I do suspect that there's some alignment here with I can't call it a psyop, but this snake venom shit is ridiculous. It's the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard in my life, although many believe it. So it is what it is, but I think this has very much pointed to the year of the snake, and we're 2-3 weeks out from the start of that, and Donald Trump will be elected, or he will be, inaugurated like 8 days before we have this event. And in 1964 into 1965, we saw like a lot of positivity surging into that moment. And then a lot of that got rug pulled. A lot of that energy got taken away. So everybody became very euphoric when Trump won globally. Like Australians were celebrating it because it felt like a win for the good team, right? We saw this euphoria settle in. And I don't know how you felt, brother, but I did not feel good. I felt uneasy because as an investor specifically, we're taught to never get emotional about either direction. Just center yourself, right? So I'm not just speaking from the perspective of markets. I'm speaking from the perspective of the human soul and spirit. Like I know a jester when I see one. So I'm worried a little bit in that case because, of course, you're one person, I'm one person. We have large communities. Hopefully whatever unfolds, whatever transpires on the world stage this year is a light under our asses to start organizing and doing things that are bigger than just what we've all been doing lately. And I don't mean that as a community. I mean like on the level of what could we do with our resources? Like who do you know? And I bet just you alone, you probably know pilots, you know medics, nurses, you probably know bankers. You know so many people that are like quote unquote in the matrix. And I sort of feel like I have that responsibility in a sense to organize people. That's what this has been. And we're going to need to start making our own system soon, guys, because this shit is not going to get easier. If they were to move forward with some sort of social credit system, what will you do about it, right? Like what will be the response whilst most people are reacting? Snake year for me feels like it's going to be the biggest transformational year of our lives, probably equal to 2001, equal to that timeline of the transition between 2000 and 2001. Probably more epic than that.
Yeah, I don't know. I know in 2016, I found it interesting that Trump won, but then I was really kind of apolitical back then. My YouTube channel didn't start till 2020, so by 2020 I really didn't get into politics too much. I was all for Trump, but then that's because I was politically immature. I didn't really know. I didn't really understand what was really going on, and it doesn't make me a liberal. I can't stand liberalism. I am not for the Democrats at all. But once I understood how Trump was really just the, he was the infiltrator. He was the one that was specifically raised and designed to sucker in the conservative Republican Party, and he did it. He did it fantastically.
Yeah,
he did it with the entire Q psyop. The whole Q psyop was nothing but. You remember back 2 years ago when I was going hard against the Patriot Pacification Program. Oh yeah, I did several videos naming Wano Savin and a whole bunch of people that are in this circuit.
Yeah.
All these people talking about how the U.S. military was saving children underground, and Charlie Ward and Simon Parks, and I was exposing all of them for being absolute patriot pacifists, total shills. Now I regret even getting involved in that because it's all stupid, it's all dumb. Hey, look, I want to show you something real quick. We're almost done, man. I got one more thing on March 14th to show you. That's it.
We really did it today, man. We covered one day with the most detail, the most detail you could possibly imagine.
Well, this is the last thing I have on March 14th. I need to put a whole list together because once you see it in list form, everything connected conceptually to March 14th, then you can put your own picture together. Maybe I'll do a post when I'm done with this. But this is Infinity War, the Avengers movies. And what I found out really interesting is that the Marvel movies don't date set. They don't like putting dates out. They don't like package. They don't like. So I learned this from a Marvel commentator. I listened to some videos this morning, and I was like, wow, that's really interesting because a lot of people are trying to figure out why Marvel suddenly put a date in one of their movies, and there's no explanation anywhere in the movie, and it's a subject of controversy, and a lot of people have done videos on it. Mm-hmm. This is the date. This is the date that was put in a Marvel movie about all the heroes coming together and basically having a civil war.
Hey, yo.
So crazy, man.
So Jason, really quick, just to run something by you, which typically you'd probably get from like Logan or I mean, I'm not sure if you're still in communication with Santos, but like the astrology side of things. So you're probably well aware of the two main popular forms of astrology, whether it be tropical or it be Vedic or sidereal, right?
Yeah, sidereal.
So this transition point between Aquarius and Pisces is March 14th in the sky.
Okay.
So when you're actually, maybe that's another layer you could look into if you want me to like leave you with some homework, but I mean, you've already done enough. It's just to let you know that we're moving from signs at that time. And I don't believe necessarily that there's like a true new year. I think there's a new month. We have a new month and it ties to the moon. And that would be more associated likely with the movement between the month of March into April. And it would be a transition month. So you could consider March almost like a 0 month, not a 1. Some people call 1 January, right? But that system is fucked and a complete lie. We could just look at the prefixes and prove this. So I don't want to get into that now. But the point that I'm making here is when looking into sidereal astrology, you now have this transition point between Aquarius into Pisces. So moving from air to water. And that right there is very symbolic because that's what the sun does on the horizon line. This is the sun rise and sunset. This comes back to Egyptian mythology. This is the real transition point for this for that hemisphere. We would obviously be using a different system if we were talking about people living in Australia, which is very important too. Another thing that I teach in my work. So just to finish off with that March 14th date, the fact that it is not only a total lunar eclipse, but it is also fucking Purim, and it is also that time where the sun is moving from the sign of Aquarius, air, into Pisces. This is probably something also where any astrologers that are with us or people that follow other astrologers, they can probably unpack it in a little bit more detail using the charts they use, but probably unnecessary at this point. It's like all signs are pointing to this is an incredibly powerful day. And one thing to say about eclipses from my study is it's never the day of the eclipse that's the most important. It's like a ripple effect of time. And I know you teach this, right? It's like you have a drop of water in the center and the ripple goes out. The drop of water for April 8th of 2024, that great American eclipse, it had this ripple effect out. So it was affecting time before, which we can use to predict things that are happening in advance. Then we could also use it to happen to predict things far in the future, right?
Right.
This is allows you to have an incredible skill, which I know you're already teaching your people. This is a big part of my work too, because I'm well aware that it's not the markets that cause the problem. It's this bigger stuff that causes the problem for the markets. I need to put more of my energy not into the market itself, but actually what's affecting it, right? So
Right.
what affects daddy from being able to give you allowance money this week? Right? This is like how everything is working in an effect of where's the money coming from. So when you brought up the Rothschilds and the fiat money, you brought up the dollar. This is huge. And I mean, we probably can't get into it today because we've already done 2 hours, but that perhaps can be something we could touch on. I don't know if you want to connect again soon, but it would be great to definitely reconnect before March 14th after we've ironed out some of these things and inauguration has passed.
It will definitely be later because I started with a cup of coffee and I drank all this during the video.
Yeah.
And right now I'm about to make my escape.
All right, brother. Well, it was so great to connect. Dropped many gems today, as always.
Hell yeah.
Amazing to spend 2 hours, and let's connect soon.
Awesome. That's Jordan. Do me a favor, email me your links. I know my mods have been putting your links in my description box. I mean, in my chat, but I need to put them in the description box as well. And guys, also, we'll be getting with him later on, and all the links for all the predictions videos concerning the subject matter for which we discussed in this video is all in the description box as well. But Jordan, good talking to you, man, and I'll see you next time.
All right, brother. Take care. Much love.
All right, let's get Santos back in here again. My buddy Santos.
The world has become tyrannical.
You want more of your people to die?
Deceptive. Dystopian. Fraudulent. Factual. Truthful. Direct knowledge. Has been taken away from the masses for the purposes of control. But enough is enough, dear friends.
For 4 years, Archaix has brought to the public attention a vast array of evidences and proofs that the events of world history are not random, that an underlying structure exists in the unfolding of events. History has been shown to be the result of an intricate programming that follows rules, programs, protocols, and patterning unknown to the masses but exploited by the few. Historical events not only have predictive value, but this immense collection of data in Archaix reveals that our world is not an actual one, but a perceived reality. The simulacrum operates on core fundamentals that all inside this experience agree to be true. And these remain axiomatic through all timelines, resets, and epochs. Dungeon programming protocols are set in place to keep souls in feedback loops of experience in the world of phenomena. Religion, politics, philosophy, culture, current events, all designed to keep souls from awakening to the idea they are inside a false reality. As populations begin to disbelieve the programming, the construct suffers a loss of power in maintaining feedback loops, and the collapse of paradigms, called dungeon programming, have individuals now experiencing coincidences, synchronicities, deja vu, and Mandela effect in increasing frequencies as more and more souls in the construct begin to disbelieve the programming. As souls wander away from deteriorating feedback loops of belief and behavior, the construct initiates more overt tactics of control by increasing the frequency and intensity of negative default programming, of anxiety, of fear-based programming, unusual weather, storms, fiery attacks, aerial phenomena, the release of pathogens, and paranoia, as it fears less and less to be believed than in losing total control of the minds inside its domain. This is the stage we have entered since 2020. We have been here many times before. Before every systemic reset period, there is a widespread disbelief that world events are natural, and the disbelieving populations come to terms with the truth. That the elite are not in control, that ancient aliens are not the cause of the debilitation, that religions have all failed in providing the answers to our existence, that the culprit is actually an ancient AI gone rogue. This is Archaix, Advanced Research of Chronological History of Artificial Intelligence X. These 11 predictions videos explain exactly where we are in the programming and what we can expect in 2025 and beyond, to 2024 and 2026, and what is required for souls to make their exodus from this simulated world.